6 months had passed since humans walked out of the failed peace talks, and the galaxy had become a completely different place. The same negotiation hall on Nexus Station was being used for another peace conference, but this time the roles were completely reversed. The 12 alien empires that had once dismissed human demands were now sitting as defeated supplicants, while humanity dictated the terms of the new galactic order. Ambassador Park So-jin had been promoted to Galactic Human Affairs Coordinator, and she was reviewing the new territorial agreements that would reshape the map of known space. Humanity was not claiming just 3 worthless outer rim systems anymore. They now controlled 57 prime worlds, including several former alien capital planets that had been abandoned when their governments collapsed. More importantly, humans now controlled the major trade routes and communication networks that connected different parts of the galaxy. Every message that traveled between alien worlds now passed through human-controlled relay stations. Every merchant ship that wanted to carry cargo had to follow routes that humans had approved. The aliens had learned that controlling information and transportation was more important than controlling individual planets. Admiral Kim Tae-ho had been promoted to Supreme Commander of Human Space Forces, and he was overseeing a military that existed primarily to keep the peace rather than conquer new territory. His first major policy decision showed how different humans were from the alien empires that had ruled the galaxy before. Any alien world that requested human protection would receive it regardless of whether their government had been hostile to humanity in the past. Dr. Yoon Hae-ri was now leading the new Galactic Research Consortium, which included the best scientists from every known species. Unlike the old system where each empire hoarded its knowledge and used it as a weapon against competitors, humans had established open information sharing that was accelerating technological progress across all civilizations. The former Valorian Admiral Vextar was now serving as a liaison officer in the human fleet. He was one of thousands of alien military personnel who had chosen to join humanity rather than remain loyal to governments that had failed them completely. He commanded a mixed-species crew aboard a human-designed vessel and spent his time protecting trade routes that benefited everyone rather than enriching a single empire. President Kang So-young was preparing to address the Galactic Assembly from Earth. She would be speaking to representatives of over 200 worlds, and her words would be broadcast to every inhabited planet where intelligent life existed. Her speech would outline the principles that would guide the new galactic government. She began by acknowledging that humans had not sought conquest or revenge when they withdrew from the original peace talks. She said that humanity had only wanted recognition and respect as equals in galactic civilization. Now that they had both, they were prepared to build something better than what had existed before. The new galactic government operated on principles that had seemed radical 6 months earlier but now appeared obviously correct. Every species would have equal representation regardless of their military power or economic strength. Beneficial technologies would be shared openly rather than used as tools of oppression. Smaller civilizations that could not defend themselves would be protected by those who were strong enough to help them. Captain Oh So-hoon was patrolling the former Krullian territory, which had become a human protectorate after the Hive Queen's government collapsed. He was ensuring that the transition from hive mind tyranny to individual freedom was proceeding smoothly. His crew included both humans and former Krullian drones, who were learning to think and act as independent individuals for the first time in their lives. The transformation of Krullian society was one of the most dramatic changes in the new galactic order. For thousands of years, individual Krullians had been forced to obey the commands of their queen without question. Now they were free to make their own choices, and many of them were choosing to leave their home worlds and explore the galaxy as independent beings. Dr. Lee Young-ye had developed a quantum communication network that connected every inhabited world in the galaxy. The network allowed instant communication across any distance, and it was completely free for everyone to use. Information could now flow freely between worlds, which made it impossible for governments to commit atrocities in secret. Free flow of information was having profound effects on societies throughout the galaxy. Citizens of oppressive empires were learning about better ways of life and demanding changes in their governments. Democratic movements were spreading to worlds that had been ruled by dictators for centuries. The old system of keeping people ignorant and isolated was breaking down everywhere. General Choi Minho was overseeing the integration of former alien military units into the new Galactic Defense Force. Many alien officers and soldiers had requested permission to serve under human command because they believed in the principles that humanity represented. The new military was focused on protecting civilians and maintaining peace rather than conquering territory or enforcing the will of powerful rulers. Lieutenant Colonel Nam Dae-young was running training programs for former alien intelligence officers who wanted to learn human methods of gathering and analyzing information. The human approach to intelligence work was completely different from what the aliens had been taught. Instead of spying on their own people to control them, humans focused on understanding potential threats and preventing conflicts before they started. Captain Jang Kyung-ho was commanding one of the new exploration fleets that were mapping unknown regions of the galaxy. The human philosophy of exploration was based on cooperation and scientific discovery rather than conquest and resource extraction. When human ships encountered new civilizations, they offered friendship and assistance instead of demands for submission. The galaxy was discovering that humanity's greatest strength had not been their advanced technology or superior military tactics. Their real advantage was their fundamental belief that civilization should benefit everyone rather than just the powerful few. This philosophy was attracting supporters from every corner of known space. Dr. Young Soo Min was analyzing reports from across the galaxy, and she was amazed by how quickly positive changes were spreading. Worlds that had been devastated by centuries of warfare were now focusing on rebuilding and improving life for their citizens. Trade was flourishing because merchants no longer had to worry about being attacked by pirates or exploited by corrupt officials. The former alien empires were learning that they had made their biggest mistake when they underestimated human values rather than human military capabilities. Humans had been willing to fight not just for their own survival, but for the kind of galaxy where every species could thrive and reach its full potential. Commander Yu Jae-sung was coordinating relief efforts for worlds that had been damaged during the transition period. Some alien governments had tried to destroy their own infrastructure rather than allow it to fall under human control. But human engineering teams were working with local populations to rebuild these worlds better than they had been before. New galactic order was not perfect, and there were still problems to solve and conflicts to resolve. But for the first time in galactic history, there was hope that these problems could be addressed through cooperation and dialogue rather than warfare and oppression. The aliens had given humanity a choice between accepting inferior status or fighting for equality. Humanity had chosen to fight, and in winning, they had created something better for everyone. Admiral Park Jun-ho was reviewing reports from the frontier regions, where human exploration fleets were making contact with previously unknown civilizations. These new species were being welcomed into galactic society as equals from the very beginning. They would never have to experience the kind of discrimination and oppression that had driven humanity to take such drastic action. The transformation of the galaxy was complete. 6 months earlier, the alien empires had controlled everything, and humans had been treated as unwanted newcomers who should be grateful for whatever scraps they were offered. Now humanity was leading a galactic civilization that offered freedom and opportunity to every intelligent species. The aliens had learned too late that treating others with respect and dignity was not just morally right but also practically wise. Their mistake had cost them their empires, but it had given the galaxy something much more valuable in return. The news of what happened to the Valorian fleet spread through alien space like wildfire, and panic followed close behind. Every alien empire that had accepted human technology over the past 3 years was now realizing that they might be just as vulnerable as the Valorians had been. Military commanders were demanding immediate inspections of their fleets, while political leaders were calling emergency meetings to discuss what to do next. President Kang So-young was receiving delegations from 6 different alien empires within 72 hours of the Valorian demonstration. Each group of aliens arrived with increasingly desperate offers, trying to negotiate separate peace deals before humanity decided to demonstrate its power against their fleets too. The same aliens who had treated humans like annoying children were now begging for mercy. The Krellian Hive Queen did something that had never happened before in galactic history. She came to Nexus Station in person to meet with human representatives. For 1,000 years, the Hive Queen had never left her home world because she considered all other species to be beneath her notice. Now she was sitting across from Admiral Kim Tae-ho, in the same room where aliens had dismissed human demands just days earlier. Shin Min-young was accompanying Admiral Kim during the meeting, and she could see how nervous the Hive Queen was. 3 years of studying alien psychology had taught her to read their body language and emotional states. The clicking sounds that Krellians made when they were confident had been replaced by rapid, twitching movements that showed fear and uncertainty. The Hive Queen was trying to pretend that she was still in control of the situation. She said that perhaps the previous negotiations had moved too quickly and that the Krellian Empire was prepared to offer humans more generous territorial rights. She was hoping that humans would accept a better deal and forget about demonstrating their power against Krellian fleets. Admiral Kim Tae-ho listened politely to the Hive Queen's offer, and then he smiled in a way that made her antennae twitch with alarm. He told her that she was still thinking like humans were negotiating from a position of weakness. He said that humans were no longer interested in accepting whatever scraps the aliens were willing to offer. The demonstration against the Krellian military was even more impressive than what had happened to the Valorians. Commander Yu Jae-sung did not just disable the Krellian fleet. Instead, he took complete control of their ships and forced them to participate in a complex battle simulation that lasted for 6 hours. Krellian crews found themselves trapped on their own ships while human operators controlled every movement. The aliens could see their vessels performing maneuvers that they had not authorized, and they could hear human voices giving commands through their communication systems. They were passengers on their own warships, and there was nothing they could do about it. Captain Nam De-young was coordinating the intelligence aspects of the operation, and she was amazed by how much information humans had collected about alien civilizations. Every conversation that had taken place on alien ships, every military plan that had been discussed, every secret that aliens thought they were keeping had been monitored and recorded by human surveillance systems. The psychological impact of the Krellian demonstration was even greater than the Valorian defeat. Alien crews throughout the galaxy were now afraid to trust their own ships. They knew that human technology was hidden inside their most important systems and that humans could take control whenever they wanted to. Lieutenant Colonel Oh Hyun-woo was broadcasting detailed information about alien military secrets to every corner of human space. 3 years of careful intelligence gathering had given humanity a complete picture of every alien empire's strengths and weaknesses. Now that information was being used to show aliens that humans knew everything about their military capabilities. The hegemony of Zephyr made the mistake of trying to launch a preemptive strike against humanity. Their leaders believed that a quick victory would restore alien prestige and prevent other empires from surrendering to human demands. They assembled a fleet of 300 ships and sent them to attack the human colony, World of New Soul. The hegemony commanders expected to find a lightly defended agricultural world that they could conquer easily. Instead, they found Admiral Park Junho waiting for them with humanity's newest and most terrifying weapon. The human fleet did not try to fight the attacking aliens in a normal space battle. Instead, they activated temporal displacement fields that trapped the entire alien fleet in a time distortion. Dr. Jung Soo Min had developed the temporal displacement technology as a non-lethal way to neutralize enemy fleets. The aliens caught in the field experienced time at a much slower rate than the rest of the universe. From their perspective, the battle seemed to last for months, while from everyone else's point of view, it was over in just a few minutes. The trapped alien crews were sending desperate messages, begging for mercy and trying to surrender, but they could not understand what was happening to them. Time moved so slowly inside the displacement field that their communication sounded like strange, low-pitched moans to anyone listening from outside. General Choi Min-ho was monitoring the alien fleet's communications, and he felt sorry for the crews who were experiencing what must have seemed like psychological torture. But he knew that this demonstration was necessary to convince other alien empires that attacking human worlds would lead to consequences worse than simple defeat. The sight of 300 advanced warships drifting helplessly in space while their crews experienced temporal distortion broke the will of every remaining alien empire. Within hours of seeing the hegemony fleet's fate, every major galactic power was requesting immediate peace negotiations on whatever terms humanity wanted to offer. Captain Oh Se-hoon was part of the team that released the trapped alien fleet after exactly 24 hours of subjective time for the aliens, but only 30 minutes of real time for everyone else. The crews emerged from their ships traumatized but physically unharmed. They carried stories of human technological superiority that spread fear throughout alien military ranks. The aliens who had been trapped in the time field described an experience that was worse than death. They said that minutes felt like hours and hours felt like days. They had been forced to sit helplessly while their ships drifted through space, and they could do nothing but wait and worry about what would happen to them. President Kang So-young was receiving surrender offers from alien empires faster than her staff could process them. The same governments that had offered humans 3 worthless star systems were now willing to give up entire sectors of space to avoid facing human military demonstrations. Dr. Yoon Hae-ri was analyzing the technical data from all 3 demonstrations, and she was pleased with how well human technology had performed. The quantum viruses had worked perfectly, the remote ship control had been flawless, and the temporal displacement fields had contained the enemy fleet without any technical problems. Admiral Vextar, who had commanded the Valorian fleet during the first demonstration, sent a personal message to Admiral Kim Tae-ho asking if he could join the human military. He said that he had learned more about advanced warfare in 30 seconds of human demonstration than he had in decades of traditional alien military service. The collapse of alien resistance was happening faster than anyone had expected. Within a week of the first demonstration, half of the major alien empires had formally requested peace negotiations. The other half were desperately trying to remove human technology from their ships, but they were discovering that it was impossible to do so without completely rebuilding their entire fleets. Commander Yoo Ji-sung was coordinating the acceptance of alien surrender offers, and he was making sure that every empire understood the new rules. Any government that wanted peace with humanity would have to accept human territorial claims and agree to treat all species fairly. There would be no more empires that oppressed weaker civilizations. The galaxy was learning that humanity had not just built superior weapons and ships. They had created a new way of thinking about interstellar relations. Instead of the old system where strong empires dominated weak ones, humans were offering a future where all civilizations could prosper together. Lieutenant Colonel Nam De-young was impressed by how quickly alien attitudes were changing. Military officers who had laughed at human demands just days earlier were now studying human tactical manuals and asking for permission to visit human military academies. The aliens were beginning to understand that they had a lot to learn from the species they had underestimated. The countdown to humanity's ultimatum was almost over, and the galaxy was holding its breath. Most alien leaders still believed that humans would make some small attacks and then get crushed by superior alien numbers. They thought humans were bluffing and would come crawling back to the negotiation table within weeks. They were about to learn how wrong they were about everything. Admiral Kin Teho was not the kind of person who made empty threats or did things halfway. When humanity decided to show their strength, it would not be a small demonstration or a desperate attack. It would be something that would make every alien in the galaxy understand that humans were now a major power that could not be ignored or pushed around. The Valorian Empire had the biggest and strongest military in the galaxy. Their main naval base was located in the Kepler 442 system, and it was supposed to be impossible to attack. Over 200 of their best warships were stationed there, including their flagship called the Eternal Dominion. The base had shields and weapons and defenses that had never been defeated in 1,000 years of warfare. Admiral Vextar was the Valorian commander in charge of the base, and he was confident that he could crush any human attack easily. He had been bragging to other alien commanders that he would capture human ships and parade human prisoners through Valorian cities. He thought the upcoming battle would make him the most famous military hero in Valorian history. Captain O Sehun was approaching the Valorian system in a single human ship called the ESS Retribution. Valorian sensors detected his lone vessel from millions of miles away, and Admiral Vextar started laughing when he heard the report. One human ship was coming to attack over 200 Valorian warships. It seemed like the humans had lost their minds completely. Dr. Lee Young-yo was aboard the Retribution as the chief science officer, and she was getting ready to activate humanity's most carefully guarded secret weapon. For 3 years, every piece of technology that humans had shared with aliens contained hidden quantum markers. These markers were so small that alien scientists could not detect them, but they were embedded in every alien ship and space station and weapon system. What happened next became famous throughout the galaxy as the 30-Second War. Dr. Yoon Harry had developed a quantum virus that could upload simultaneously to every piece of alien technology that contained human quantum markers. The virus was not designed to destroy alien ships or kill alien crews. It was designed to demonstrate exactly how much power humans really had. Captain Jang Kyung-ho was watching from the bridge of the Retribution as the quantum virus activated across the entire Valorian fleet. Every weapon system on every Valorian ship shut down at exactly the same moment. Every communication array went silent. Every engine stopped working. 200 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy became floating pieces of metal in space. Admiral Vextar was standing on the bridge of his flagship when every screen and control panel went completely dark. His chief engineer was running around pressing buttons and flipping switches, but nothing worked. The massive ship that had been the pride of the Valorian fleet was now as helpless as a piece of space debris. The silence in the Valorian fleet lasted for exactly 30 seconds. Then Admiral Kim Taeho's voice came through the emergency communication channel that humans had graciously allowed to keep working. His words were calm and clear, and they carried across every dead ship in the system. He said that this was a demonstration of human capabilities and that every Valorian crew member was completely safe. He said that their ships were not damaged and could be repaired easily. But he wanted every alien in the galaxy to understand that humans could have destroyed the entire fleet in those 30 seconds if they had chosen to do so. Colonel Park Min-soo was coordinating the technical aspects of the attack from his command center, and he was impressed by how perfectly everything had worked. The quantum virus had infected every Valorian system exactly as planned. The aliens had built their defenses using human technology, and now that technology was working for humans. Instead of against them, Admiral Vextar was trying to understand what had happened to his fleet. His science officers were telling him that every system had been compromised from the inside. They said it was impossible because Valorian security was the best in the galaxy. But impossible or not, it had happened, and his entire fleet was helpless. Demonstration continued for exactly 30 minutes. During that time, human technicians remotely piloted several Valorian ships to show that they had complete control. They made the alien vessels perform complex maneuvers while their crews watched in horror. The aliens could see their ships moving, but they could not control anything. Lieutenant Colonel Nam Young was broadcasting the entire event to intelligence services throughout the galaxy. She wanted every alien military commander to see exactly what humans could do to their fleets. The message was simple and clear. Any alien technology that contained human components could be taken over by humans whenever they wanted. After 30 minutes, the human demonstration ended as suddenly as it had begun. Every Valorian ship suddenly came back to life at the same moment. Engines started working, communications came back online, and weapon systems began functioning normally. But every Valorian officer knew that their ships only worked because humans allowed them to work. Admiral Vextar found a message waiting on his personal communication screen when his systems came back online. The message was short and direct. It said that this had been a gentle demonstration and that next time humans would not be so merciful. It reminded him that he now had 27 days to comply with human territorial demands. News of the Valorian fleet's complete defeat spread across the galaxy within hours. 12 major empires that had been confident about their military superiority suddenly realized they were facing an enemy that could defeat them without firing a single shot. Every alien leader who had dismissed human threats was now reconsidering their position. Captain Yu Jae-sung was monitoring alien communications from his intelligence ship, and he could hear the panic in alien voices. Military commanders were asking their scientists if their fleets were vulnerable to the same kind of attack. The scientists were giving answers that no one wanted to hear. Dr. Young Soo Min was analyzing alien reactions to the demonstration, and she was satisfied with the results. Fear was spreading through alien military ranks faster than any weapon could travel. Alien crews were looking at their own ships and wondering if human technology was hidden inside their most important systems. The Krullian Hive Queen called an emergency meeting of her military council within hours of hearing about the Valorian defeat. She wanted to know if Krullian ships were vulnerable to the same kind of attack. Her scientists told her that every Krullian vessel contained human technology and could potentially be compromised. General Choi Min-ho was receiving reports from human agents throughout alien space, and the reports all said the same thing. Alien military morale was collapsing as crews realized that their ships might not obey their commands in battle. Some alien fleets were refusing to leave port until their ships could be completely rebuilt without any human components. The most important result of the demonstration was psychological. For 3 years, aliens had thought of humans as weak and desperate. Now they were forced to admit that humans had technology that was far more advanced than anything the alien empires possessed. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted completely in 30 seconds. Admiral Kim Tae-ho was satisfied with the results of the first strike. Humanity had demonstrated their power without killing anyone or destroying anything. They had shown mercy and restraint, even while proving that they could have wiped out the entire Valorian fleet if they had wanted to. Now it was time to see if the aliens were smart enough to accept the new reality, or if they would need more convincing. 3 days after the humans walked out of the peace talks, every alien empire in the galaxy was in panic mode. Emergency meetings were happening on every major alien world, and the leaders were all asking the same question. What were the humans really planning, and why did they seem so confident when they left? Captain Jang King-ho stood on the bridge of the biggest ship humans had ever built. The Indomitable was massive and powerful and completely invisible to alien sensors. He looked out at space and watched as dozens of other huge human ships appeared out of nowhere all around him. For 3 years, these ships had been hiding in deep space waiting for this moment. The alien empires had thought humans were desperate and weak. They thought humans had been begging for scraps because they had no other choice. They were wrong about everything. While human diplomats sat in meeting rooms asking politely for basic rights, human engineers and builders had been working day and night on the biggest secret project in human history. Back on Earth, President Kang So-young was getting ready to speak to the whole galaxy. She was standing in front of cameras that would broadcast her message to every world where intelligent life existed. Her speech would change everything and let every creature in the galaxy know that humans were not the weak species everyone thought. They were. She began speaking in a calm, clear voice that carried across billions of miles of space. She said that while humans had been sitting at negotiation tables trying to find peaceful solutions, they had also been preparing for the possibility that peace might not work. She said that humans had learned an important lesson from the aliens. In this galaxy, respect was not something you could ask for politely. It was something you had to earn through strength. The Valorian Empire was the first to realize how badly they had been fooled. Their intelligence officers were reading reports that made no sense. The reports said that humans had built hundreds of warships in secret, ships that were bigger and more advanced than anything the Valorians had ever seen. But that was impossible because humans were supposed to be primitive and weak. Admiral Park Junho was commanding a fleet of human stealth ships that could move through space without being detected by any alien sensors. These ships had been traveling through alien territory for months, taking pictures and making maps and learning everything there was to know about alien military bases and weapon systems. The technology that made this possible was something the aliens had helped create without knowing it. Every time humans had shared their scientific knowledge with alien empires, they had included small hidden modifications. These modifications created blind spots in alien sensor systems that allowed human ships to move around completely unseen. Dr. Shin Min-young was in her laboratory on Earth, looking at data that showed the true scope of what humans had accomplished. Her team had developed weapons that could disable entire alien fleets without destroying them. The weapons used advanced physics to shut down alien ship systems from a distance. They could stop alien ships from moving or fighting, but they would not kill anyone. The Krullian Hive Queen was receiving reports from her military commanders that made her feel sick with fear. The reports said that humans had not just built a secret fleet, they had built something much more dangerous. Every piece of technology that humans had shared with the Krullians over the past 3 years contained hidden elements that gave humans access to Krullian computer systems. Commander Yu Ji-soon was overseeing the deployment of human defense platforms around every human colony world. These platforms had been built in secret and transported piece by piece disguised as mining equipment and civilian supplies. Now they were assembling themselves into powerful weapon systems that could protect human worlds from any attack. Aliens were starting to understand that they had been completely outplayed. Every gift that humans had given them, every piece of helpful technology, every medical breakthrough, had been part of a larger plan. Humans had been gathering intelligence about alien civilizations while pretending to be grateful junior partners. Lieutenant Colonel Nam Dae-young was reviewing intelligence reports that showed just how much information humans had collected. They knew the location of every major alien military base. They knew the weaknesses of every alien weapon system. They knew the exact number of ships in every alien fleet and where those ships were located at any given moment. The hegemony of Zephyr was discovering that their most secure military communications had been compromised for years. Every secret message, every battle plan, every strategic discussion had been monitored by human intelligence agents. The humans knew everything about hegemony military operations. and the hegemony knew almost nothing about human capabilities. Dr. Jung Su-Min had been running the largest intelligence operation in human history. Her agents had been working throughout alien space for 3 years, collecting information and planting surveillance devices. They had been disguised as traitors and diplomats and scientists and tourists. The aliens had welcomed them and shared their secrets without ever suspecting that they were being spied on. The Valorian Military Council was meeting an emergency session, trying to figure out how their intelligence services had failed so completely. Their top admiral was reading reports that seemed impossible. The reports said that humans had been building a military fleet that was larger and more advanced than the Valorian Navy, but the most shocking discovery was yet to come. Human ships were not just bigger and more advanced than alien ships. They were also completely integrated with artificial intelligence systems that could think and react faster than any biological crew. Human ships could coordinate their movements and attacks with perfect precision. Captain Oh-Soo-Hoon was piloting one of the new human AI-assisted fighters, and he was amazed by what the ship could do. The artificial intelligence could predict enemy movements and calculate optimal attack patterns in milliseconds. It could fly the ship better than any human pilot while still following human commands perfectly. The alien empires were also discovering that humans had been much more generous with their technology sharing than anyone had realized. Every alien world that had received human medical technology or agricultural improvements or communication systems now had human-built components integrated into their most important infrastructure. President Kang So-young continued her broadcast to the galaxy, explaining that humans had not wanted to build weapons or plan for war. They had hoped that peaceful negotiation would lead to a fair solution for everyone. But the alien empires had made it clear that they would never treat humans as equals, no matter how much humans contributed to galactic civilization. The Krullian Hive Queen was reading reports from her scientists that made her understand the true genius of human strategy. Every piece of human technology that had been shared with the Krullians contained quantum markers that could be activated remotely. Humans could potentially shut down Krullian technology whenever they wanted to. General Choi Min-ho was coordinating the reveal of human military capabilities from his command center on Earth. He was watching as alien intelligence services frantically tried to assess the new threat that humans represented. The aliens were beginning to realize that they were not dealing with a desperate species making empty threats. The Valorian Empire tried to send scout ships to investigate human space and find out what was really happening. But their ships could not get close to human territory without being detected and turned away by human patrol vessels that appeared out of nowhere and disappeared just as quickly. Dr. Yoon Hae-ri was analyzing the alien response to human revelations, and she was satisfied with what she saw. The aliens were scared and confused, and they were starting to understand that they had made a terrible mistake. They had treated humans badly because they thought humans were weak and had no other options. The galaxy was beginning to understand that humans had been planning for this moment for 3 years. Every conversation, every negotiation, every act of apparent cooperation had been part of a larger strategy. Humans had been learning about their potential enemies while building the tools they would need to defend themselves. As news of human capabilities spread throughout the galaxy, the 12 alien empires that had dismissed human demands were facing a new reality. They were no longer dealing with a weak species that needed their permission to exist. They were facing a civilization that had been preparing for war while hoping for peace, and now had both the means and the will to fight for their place in the galaxy. The huge meeting room on Nexus Station felt cold and empty, even though it was full of people. Admiral Kim Tae-ho sat at the long metal table and looked around at all the alien faces staring back at him. His hands were folded tight on the table, and his jaw was set hard like stone. He had been coming to these meetings for 3 long years, and he was tired of it all. Next to him sat Ambassador Park So-jin, who was shuffling through papers and trying to stay calm. She had spent more time in this room than anyone else from Earth. Her black hair was pulled back neat, and her suit was perfect, but her eyes showed how frustrated she really was. She had been the one talking to these aliens day after day, trying to get them to treat humans like equals. The Valorian Empire representative was a big blue creature with 4 arms and eyes that looked like black holes. He was tapping his fingers on the table, making a sound like rain on metal. His name was something humans could not say, so they just called him the Blue One. He looked at the humans like they were bugs that had crawled onto his dinner plate. Ambassador Lee Ji-woo was the youngest person in the human group. She was only 28, but she was smart, and she could speak 7 different alien languages. She sat very still and watched everything with her dark eyes. She had been taking notes for hours, but now her pen was not moving. She was just staring at the aliens with a look that could burn holes in metal. The meeting had been going on for 6 hours, and it was the same as always. The aliens would talk about what they wanted, and the humans would try to ask for basic things, like the right to travel freely or the right to build homes on empty planets. Then the aliens would say no and offer humans something terrible instead. Dr. Yoon Hae-ri was looking at her tablet computer and shaking her head slowly. She was the head of the science team, and she knew exactly what humans had given to these aliens over the past 3 years. The list was long and amazing. Humans had shared technology that let aliens talk to each other across the whole galaxy in seconds instead of months. They had given medical knowledge that saved millions of alien lives from diseases that used to kill them. They had taught farming methods that ended hunger on dozens of worlds. But here they were being told they could only have 3-star systems that nobody else wanted. 3 systems full of old dead planets with no water and no life. The aliens were treating them like children who should be grateful for getting any scraps at all. General Choi Min-ho sat in the back of the room with the other military people. He was a big man with gray hair and scars on his hands from his days as a soldier. He had been quiet during all these meetings, but his eyes were always watching and thinking. He knew things that the aliens did not know. He knew about the ships being built in secret and the weapons being tested, where no one could see them. The Kryllian ambassador was making clicking sounds with his mouth parts. He looked like a giant bug with too many legs and eyes that stuck out on stalks. He was laughing at something the Blue One had said. The sound made all the humans feel sick to their stomachs. The hegemony representative was a tall, thin creature that looked like a walking stick made of metal. It spoke in a voice that sounded like wind blowing through broken glass. It was talking about mining rights and trade agreements, and how humans should be happy to work for alien companies on alien worlds. Dr. Young Soo Min was the head of human intelligence, and she was watching all the aliens very carefully. She had been studying their faces and their body language for 3 years. She knew when they were lying, and when they were scared, and when they were angry. Right now she could see that they thought they had already won. They thought humans had no choice but to accept whatever they were offered. Colonel Oh Hyun-woo was taking notes, but not about the meeting. He was writing down which aliens seemed most confident and which ones looked worried. He was thinking about the reports he had been getting from human agents all over the galaxy. Reports about alien military bases and weapon systems and supply lines. Information that would be very useful very soon. The Blue One stood up and his 4 arms spread wide, like he was giving a speech to the whole universe. His voice was deep and loud, and it made the walls shake. He said that humans were new to space, and they did not understand how things worked. He said that older civilizations knew better, and humans should listen to their wisdom. Ambassador Park So-jin felt her face getting hot with anger. She had heard this speech before many times. The aliens always talked about how old and wise they were, and how young and stupid humans were. But she knew the truth. She knew that humans had been solving problems and creating new things, while these aliens had been fighting wars and destroying planets for thousands of years. The meeting room had big windows that looked out into space. Kim Tae-ho could see stars and planets and the ships of 12 different alien empires. All those ships had weapons pointed at human space. All those aliens thought they were better than humans, and that humans should be grateful just to be allowed to exist. Lieutenant Colonel Nam Dae-young was sitting near the door, and she was watching the guards. She could see that the aliens thought they were completely safe. They thought humans were weak and desperate and would never dare to fight back. They had no idea what was really happening back on Earth and in the human colonies. The blue one was still talking about the deal they were offering. 3 worthless star systems in exchange for humans giving up all their rights to expand or build military ships. He said humans should be happy because they were getting more than they deserved. Ambassador Lee Ji-woo finally put down her pen and looked directly at the blue one. Her voice was quiet, but everyone could hear her clearly. She said that humans had been very patient and very generous, but that patience was running out. The insect creature made more clicking sounds and said that humans had no choice. He said that human ships were small and weak, and that human technology was primitive compared to what the great empires possessed. He said that if humans did not accept this deal, they would get nothing at all. That was when Admiral Kim Tae-ho stood up slowly. The whole room became quiet, and everyone was looking at him. His face was calm, but his eyes were like ice. He looked at each alien representative one by one, and then he spoke in a voice that was steady and strong. He said that humans rejected the deal completely. He said that humans were withdrawing from all peace talks right now. He said that humans were done begging for scraps and done being treated like children. The aliens all started talking at once, but Kim Tae-ho was not finished. Ambassador Park So-jin stood up next to him, and her voice was just as strong. She said that all alien ships had 30 days to leave human space, or they would be considered enemies. She said that humans were no longer interested in being junior partners in someone else's empire. The room exploded with alien voices all talking and shouting at the same time. Some of them were laughing, and some of them were angry, but none of them looked worried. They still thought humans were bluffing. Dr. Yoon Hae-ri gathered up her tablet and her papers and stood up with a small smile on her face. She looked at the aliens and wondered how they would feel when they found out what humans had really been doing for the past 3 years. As the human delegation walked toward the door, Ambassador Park So-jin turned around one last time. She looked at all the alien faces and spoke in a voice that everyone could hear. She said that the aliens had their chance to treat humans as equals, and they had wasted it. Now they would learn why that had been the better choice. The humans walked out of the meeting room together and left the aliens sitting there in shock. None of the aliens moved for a long time. They just sat there trying to understand what had just happened. They had no idea that everything was about to change forever.